Early birds. Ain't nobody like you. Nobody. 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 Last night at the altar of prayer, we prayed that you'd make it through a storm. Because in the second Sunday in the new year, we don't need empty pews. God has been too good for us. Yes. If you're negative, you say it's raining outside. If you're positive, you say it isn't raining rain, you know, it's raining violence. If you're negative, you say Ricky Grundy is leaving. If you're positive, you say Ricky Grundy is going on to the next level. If you're negative, you say we had 5 funerals last week. If you're positive, you say we had 5 homegoings last week. Everybody come on and say, accentuate the positive. Eliminate the negative. Now everybody put the two together. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the, especially eliminate the negative. Eliminate the negative. Some people just love a lot of negativism. They just love a lot of dirt, don't they? Oh, you don't know anybody that's negative. You don't know anybody that just loves to dish the dirt. Some people are just like the mole. Give the mole enough time and the mole can dig up enough dirt to bury you. Just love a lot of foolishness. Bringing into the new year the same old foolishness we had in the old. Just love a lot of negativism, accentuating the negative. One brother at official board meeting at another parish, I had stood up and he put a motion that was the most negative thing I'd ever heard. And way in the back of the room, another brother stood up and said, I second the commotion. And remember one of our pop stars that says, I second the emotion. I second the emotion because most of the times we just go on emotions when we're dealing with dirt. We don't go on the facts, we just go on emotions. Let Pastor tell you something. If you're enjoying good health now, you better stay positive. Being negative will mess your health up. Being negative will mess your health up. You can take some of that negativism when you're 20, 30, 35, and 40. But when you get to be middle-aged, you better be positive. Being positive is better than medicine. Being positive means you won't need any medicine at all. Matthew 24, verse 4 says, let no one fool you. Be careful what you let people put into your ears. Let no one fool you. And Paul says in 1 Corinthians 3:18, don't fool yourself. 2 and 2 equals 5 when you're jealous of something. 2 and 2 equals 7 when you're getting yourself all involved. Don't ever go one-on-one with a person. Stand back. And whenever you get information, let it filter through the mind, the computer, through the heart and the soul. Don't be so quick to believe evil of each other. On page 594, that's where we're going to concentrate. Wish you would really cultivate your Bibles in the new year. Page 594, Jeremiah 17, verse 1. My people sin as though commanded to. Isn't that something? Especially sinning against each other. My people sin as though commanded to, as though their evil were laws chiseled with an iron pen or diamond point upon their stony hearts or on the corners of their altars. So as we contemplate this dishing of the dirt and sinning against each other, and hurting each other with vicious rumors and gossip. We're going to talk on the subject, Tabloid Tony, give me the dirt. And the rest of this month, in your bulletins, you see the subject areas we've aligned. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Tabloid Tony. Verse 5 in Jeremiah 17 says, the Lord says, cursed are you who put your trust in mortal people and turn your hearts away from God. You are like a stunted shrub in the desert with no hope for the future. You live on the salt-encrusted plains in the barren wilderness. Good times pass you by forever. We're going to talk on the difference between the desert shrub that we just mentioned and the river tree. The desert shrub has shallow roots. The desert shrub doesn't have much of a foundation. The desert shrub doesn't have a foundation in fact. The negative person is a shallow person. The negative person doesn't have deep roots. The negative person, like the desert shrub, is always just looking for one phenomenon after another. The desert shrub is not anchored down. The desert shrub just follows the wind whichever way the wind blows. The desert shrub has dirt on it, but it doesn't have any dirt beneath it. It gets dirty, but it doesn't have any deep foundation. And when you ask the desert shrub, what's the source of your strength and your news, the desert shrub will just tell you, I heard it through the grapevine. Child, have you heard? Now, the minute someone comes to your ears with that, you know you got a desert shrub. Child, have you heard? I heard it through the grapevine. And the grapevine, you may have been drinking too many of the grapes. And a lot of people are guilty of sour grapes. Early birds, let Pastor tell you again and again and again, watch the sour grapes. Watch the jealousy. Jealousy will mess your mind up. Jealousy will make you lie on people. Jealousy will make you lie on yourself. Jealousy is just a way of saying, I am not as impressive as the other person is, and they've got something I want, and you got to understand that God has already given you everything you need. So if there's some good news of another person, say, I'm happy for you. What's happening good to them doesn't take away anything you've got. God has given you health and life and strength. You can get anything you and God want. Not sour grapes and not sour on anybody. When you get jealous and you start talking trash, that's a slogan our people have given to the American society, especially in basketball. You know how you score over the guy and then you walk away wolfing at him, talking trash. Got so bad the NBA doesn't allow it anymore. We love to talk trash. And if you talking trash, you always gonna have a trash collector. Now, I wish it could be different, but everywhere you read in the Old Testament and the New, people are just natural-born trash collectors. We like to dish the dirt. Why do you think the tabloids are selling in as a multi-billion-dollar market? You go there and there must be 50 different magazines on there. You go and get the one that's dishing the dirt on somebody else. If O.J. Simpson doesn't hurry up and get off the front page, I think I'll go crazy. Tabloids. Why are you interested in who's sleeping with who if you sleeping comfortably? .7 billion people on earth, and you interested in some little old funny-looking joker who's sneaking around, and you heard it through the grapevine. And here you on the phone for 30 minutes talking about nothing. Somebody has said with a great amount of truth, great minds talk about ideas, small minds talk about people. What's going on with people that interests you that much? What's going on with the Iceman that interests you that much? What's going on with the post office delivery boy or girl that interests you that much? Ain't you got enough to occupy your 80 or 90 years on earth? How can you run your life and somebody else's life too? If your life is so dull, you ought to go on down and get into some kind of course at Trade Tech. If your life is so dull, you ought to change your career. If your life is so dull, you ought to get you a new girlfriend or boyfriend. If your life is so dull, you ought to find out about Jesus. Will Rogers said most of us are trash collectors. Most of us are trash collectors. That's why sometimes you'll get a little quiet as I'm talking to you on this subject. It's really stepping on your toes. Will Rogers says the only time we dislike gossip is when the gossip is about us. Because most of us resonate to it. It's our human nature. But now if you want a superhuman nature, you got to work with God. And you need to be forewarned, just as if your pressure's a little high, it indicates you got a problem. If you're hyperventilating, it indicates you got a problem. If you're a desert shrub, it indicates you got a problem. It means your life is too confined. It means your life is too boring. It means your life is too fenced in. You make yourself feel better by talking about somebody else. You make yourself feel higher by putting somebody else down. And most of the news you get, like that desert shrub, is blown to you. Honey, they said. They said. They said. Don't ever ask who is they. They said. They call that stabbing you with somebody else's knife. Really, you know who the they is. They said, stabbing you with somebody else's knife. And all the while they're stabbing you with that knife, they're saying, but I'm only telling you this because I love you. If you love me so much, why do you bring me so much trash? You know it gets me upset, and there ain't nobody here who isn't hurt by a word. We can say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never. Yes, words hurt you. Yes, words hurt you. I done had everything negative can be said about a preacher say about me, and I would be not telling you the truth if I stood up here and said it didn't hurt me. And if it hurts me, it hurts you. Words can hurt you. Words do hurt you. I'd rather you hit me with a stick sometime than say some things about me. I'm saying this because I love you. If you love me, why are you going to keep me awake tonight? If you love me, why can't you make a distinction between the things I need to know and the things I don't need to know? If I need to know it, tell me. Tell me my breath is bad. Tell me my actions are bad. But I don't need to know this trash. Put that trash in the trash can. I don't need to know. Even if I ask you, I really don't want to know. Desert shrub, here comes the clincher. Now, when they were talking about me, what did you say? Well, I didn't say anything because I wanted to keep the relationship so I could know what they're saying about you. just like a lot of monkey business. We love it. Now, don't act like you don't. It's just like we love food, but you can eat too much, don't you? We're not like a nice little glass of claret, but you can drink too much, don't you? We like a little gossip, but you can gossip too much, don't you? We like to stretch the truth a little bit, but you can lie too much. Don't sit there and pretend you don't like to dish the dirt. But there's several things going. One, you ought to localize who you dish the dirt with, because somebody gonna get back and say you said it. It just indicates your business is too limited. Woman stands before King Frederick of Russia. Your Majesty, my husband treats me badly. Madam, that's not my business. And Your Majesty, he says ill things about you. And madam, that's not your business. The best business in the line of business is to have a business of your own. And if you have no business, then make it your business to leave other people's business alone. That's the desert shrub, the desert shrub. Come on down to verse 7 now, and we're going to look at the river tree. But blessed are you who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord your hope and confidence. Look, listen to what you are. You are like a tree planted along a riverbank with its roots reaching deep into the water. A tree not bothered by the heat, nor worried by long months of drought. Its leaves stay green, and it grows right on producing all its luscious fruit. A river tree is not easily manipulated. A river tree is rooted deep. A river tree is anchored firmly. My soul is anchored in the Lord. My soul is anchored. My soul is anchored. My soul is anchored in the Lord. And when the wind blows from the west or from the east, my soul is anchored. I may lean a little to the right. I may lean a little to the left, but I shall not be moved. I am like a tree planted by the rivers of water. Blow on torrential winds, blow on torrential rain, but my soul is anchored in the Lord. Last week, one of our trees came tumbling down. We'd been looking at that brother because really wasn't contributing too much. You have to be a bad tree not to be loved, because anybody that doesn't love a tree has something wrong with them. But if the tree is in the wrong place, if the tree is disruptive, talk is a beautiful thing, but the tongue is meant to heal. This tree was uprooting the sidewalk. This tree was tearing up the fountain so that it cost a couple of $1,000 more to fix the fountain if it hadn't been for that tree. This tree's roots were entwining the pipes underneath the ground. This tree would leave all kinds of debris on the sidewalk. Last week the rains came and the storm came like the judgment of God, and that tree came tumbling down. It was not rooted, but a river tree is rooted in God. Therefore, a river tree is not easily manipulated. I want you to look at the difference between a manipulator and a liar as we talk about this river tree. A manipulator can take nothing and make something out of it. And if you have any sense at all, you know how to take that something right back to that nothing. A manipulator can just take absolute zero and make it 1,000. It can take nothing at all. I saw somebody going into her house. Didn't even know it was the woman's uncle. And now you've ruined a 40-year reputation. That child got kicked out of school. That's nothing. The child was transferred because they moved another 3 miles and they got out of the zone that was there. A manipulator can take nothing and make something out of it. And it's a very, very unenlightened person who doesn't know nothing when you hear it. If somebody tells you nothing and you believe it, it's because you want to believe nothing. It's because you ain't about nothing, because you ain't standing for nothing. Because when you stand for the truth in one way or another, often you need a kind way to say it. Look, don't bring that trash to me. I don't want to hear it. My nerves bad enough already. Take that somewhere. I don't want to hear that. It don't come before me. That's not my business. A manipulator can take nothing and make something out of it. A liar can take something and make nothing out of it. One starts with 0 and brings it up to hero. One starts with hero and reduces it to 0. Jesus says, yes, I know you're going to kill me. I know you're going to kill me. But if you destroy this temple, in 3 days I'll raise it up again. God will raise it up again. His enemies go out and said, Jesus said he's going to destroy the temple. Jesus is talking about the temple of his body, and they are talking about the temple that they have loved for centuries, and they worship there and they meet God there. The liar always takes something and brings it down to nothing. And you and I who hear it, we have to have a value judgment about ourselves. How can you believe that when you've known Jesus for 3 years? How can you believe that when you walk with Jesus all of his ministry? How can you believe that when you are the one that he healed from hunger? How can you believe that when he opened your eyes? How can you believe that when he raised your mama from the dead? How can you believe it? The choice is clear. Desert shrub or river tree? Which one you're going to be in the new year? It's an awful temptation to be a desert shrub. People will like you. People just love somebody who's mean-spirited and negative in their thinking and always got something bad to say about somebody. You will always have an audience. People just love these churches where the devil's going to send every one of y'all to hell, everybody but me. We just love the negative in life. We just love the negative in life. If you want to be a desert shrub, you will always have company. If you want to be a river tree, that puts you in God's company. God says, if you're a river tree, you're like a tree planted by the streams of flowing water, and your leaf does not wither, and you bear fruit, and you go down deep to the well springs of eternal life. If you're a river tree, adversity can't hurt you. If somebody takes something away from you, you'll say, the Lord gives, the Lord provides. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Even when your health is gone, I know a doctor, I know a man. When your money is gone, I know somebody who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I'm a river tree. Nobody can hurt me. And when people come to you talking about somebody else, you say, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Jesus. And when people come putting somebody down, I don't want to put them down. I want to put Jesus up. And when people come to you trying to excite your life, you tell them hanging around with Jesus is all the excitement I want. My soul is anchored. My soul is anchored. My soul is anchored in the Lord. In the Lord. In the Lord.